approach number 3 to why does it say Vayihi Beshalach Pharaoh Esam? Approach number 1 was Pharaoh regretted his actions. How could he send them away? Approach number 2 is Pharaoh repented. And approach number 3 tells us something else. So what is approach number 3? Approach number 3 is as follows. So the approach number 3, hold on, let me get the page here. Oh, okay. So the approach tells us that when Pharaoh sent forth the people, who was the one who was the most upset? Who was the one who was the most upset? This was actually Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu is the one, believe it or not, who was the most upset when Pharaoh was sending out the people. And so you might think like that's wild explanation. That's a wild explanation, but this is what the Midrash says. The Midrash says, "Vahi Beshalach Pharaoh, Kisha." Hold on one second. Hold on. I want to make sure I have the exact citation here. When Pharaoh sent forth the people, what happened? The Midrash says, Vayehi. Vayehi means woe. Mi amar mi. Who is the one who said woe? Who is the one who didn't want to send them out? Moshe amar vai. Moshe said woe. Radical reading. Radical reading. Mashal echad shenaseh levito melech levito shal melech shoshvin. This is a parable to a person who became a bridesman for the daughter of the king. V'haya ro'eh b'mazal shehu motziyah mibeit aviyah ve'eno ba'ima beit achatan u'chupata. And he was seeing by the astrological sign that he was taking her out from her father's home, but he also saw that he would not actually be the one to walk her down the aisle to the chuppah. He saw he was going to carry her on her journey towards where she was going, but she wasn't going, he wouldn't be the one to bring her there. Hitchil bocha. Upon seeing this, he began to weep. Amru, so his colleague said to him, why are you crying? You're taking this girl to get married. It's a beautiful thing. He said, Bochani shenisyagati lotzia ve'eni ba'ima l'chupata. He said, I'm crying because I worked so hard to arrange everything for her to be able to get married, but I'm not going to be there. Kach amar Moshe. This is what was going on with Moses. Tzoek ani shenisyagati lotzia Yisrael miMitzrayim ve'eni nechnas imam la'aretz lakach vayihi Beshalach. That's what Moshe was saying. I'm crying because I worked so hard to take them out of Egypt, but I'm not going to be the one to take them into the land. Okay, and Moshe already knew, according to this Midrash, Moshe already understood at this point that he wasn't going to take them into the promised land. Because it says above in chapter 6, verse 1, let me just cite the actual verse. It states, and the verse states, now you'll see, Moshe, that which I'll do to Pharaoh. And the Midrash says, you'll see what I'll do to Pharaoh, but you won't see what I'm going to do to the kings of Canaan. So Moshe understood that his leadership would only take them so far. Now, this is, to my mind, a very poignant Midrash. Here's Moshe recognizing that with this redemption, he's also sealing his own fate, that his redemption, that his leadership is not going to be the one to take them into the promised land. He will take them out of Egypt, but not into the promised land. And Moshe had he was crying, and it's like almost a little bit. I mean, and maybe it's not a perfect analogy. It's not a perfect analogy, but when when a parent takes a child and sends them off to college, so the parent is happy for the child that they're going to eventually go, but the parent works so hard to get them to that point, and they're not going to be the one as the child goes through their next stages of law school or medical school or business or whatever they do, whatever they want to do is fine. So the point is that Moshe here is crying because he realizes he's not going to be the one to lead them into the promised land. But then there's another aspect of it. The aspect of it is even in our moments of greatest joy, when we are having our greatest success, the Torah and the rabbis are always teaching us perspective. That in our moments of greatest joy, we're recognizing that right around the corner is sadness. And we have to have that perspective. So why do we need to have that perspective? Why do we need to be reminded about that? Because we need to contextualize the joy and use that feelings for the right reason, and not just take things for granted and not miss an opportunity to channel our energy in the right direction. So this is the third approach. What is Vayhi Beshalach Pharaoh? Whoa, Moshe was crying when they were actually leaving. And not only that, it was almost makes it sound like Pharaoh was sending them out because Moshe was a little reluctant to do it. He was a little, push came to shove. He was a little reluctant. He could have really, if you think about it, there were times when the Egyptians were weak. He could have just walked out. But he was a little bit reluctant to go. Pharaoh had to send them. Okay, we'll stop here for a second and we'll see some questions here from April. Yes.
Actually, this time